Alright, let's talk about the File Allocation Table, or FAT, one of the oldest and most important file system formats. It was first introduced in the late 70s for floppy disks, and even today there's still a version of it that lives inside flash drives. Think of like USB, anything portable. Now, at the heart of FAT, there are two main ideas that haven't changed over the years. First, every file is stored across blocks, but instead of storing the blocks continuously, each file is linked together. It's block by block. And second, all these files are managed by a master table, also known as the File Allocation Table itself. So some questions you might want to think about is like, well, why not just have a pointer inside each block? Well, FAT does something similar, but all of the linking information is separate and it's inside the table itself. All right, here's some work. And let's look at this example of the hello.txt. Say that we start at block 2. I have my disk, here's block 2, I'm over here, I'm going to say that this is busy, and I say that inside of block 2, it's going to point me to the next block, which would be 6. So 2 is pointing to 6, and inside of 6, it's going to point me to block 3. So then that goes back to here. And then inside block 3, it's going to point me to block 5, say, for example. So inside of block 5, I have the end of file or end of chain, or EOC for end of chain. All of these are available and free. So the special value in the table, they're used too. So if you're looking at the block, if it has no files that you use, it's marked as free. That's why we have the 0. If a block is in the last of its file, you're going to have a special end of chain. This is what the special character has, tells us that this is where we're pretty much done. So if you want to find your hello.txt, you need to go to blocks 2, 6, 3, and 5. But there's something important. The file allocation only stores the links. It doesn't tell you where a file starts. And that's where you have the directory table. Each directory entry stores information, such as the file name. So in our example, it's hello.txt. The starting block, so for us it would be block 2. The size of the block, I'll say it's 4 blocks. And any metadata. So this would be all of the file attribute that we can add here. So the directory tells us where to start and gives me file information. The allocation table helps me know the chain of blocks that make up the actual file content. So if you're looking at how do you actually look at all of this stuff when you're trying to open up a file or trying to access a file, say for example hello, your OS immediately comes and checks out your directory. Your directory then leads you to your FAT table. Your FAT table tells you the exact location that's going to be on